Alright, welcome to part 3. This is where I'm going to be talking about the weapons and skills more in detail. So, as much as I like the weapon designs in Fallout, there are some that are a little goofy. Um, like, for example, I really liked the assault rifle and the Chinese assault rifle from Fallout 3 a lot more than I like the way it looks in Fallout 4, where it looks a little too cartoony and janky and doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. But that's perfectly fine. I'm not going to complain about that too much. Um, I do like a lot of the weapon designs. I kind of like the one thing I do think Fallout 76 did really well is the weapon designs from Fallout 76. As much as they're not super realistic, I do just like the variety that it has. Like it has like the blunderbuss kind of black powder weapons that are really high damage but super low fire rate. I kind of like that. Like just a little bit of variety that those kind of things bring is nice. I like the big plasma heavy weapon. I think it's like a plasma caster, plasma repeater, whatever it's called in Fallout 76. It uses plasma cores. I like that. I like variety when it comes to my Fallout. I like to have a lot of variety in the weapons. It just makes the game feel more real. Like, like for example, if you're gonna find pistols in like the real world, if there was an apocalypse, you'd find hundreds of different kinds of pistols. It wouldn't just be all 10 millimeters and 44 revolvers and that kind of stuff. You'd find a bunch of different kinds of old pistols that people had kept and been using until something horribly killed them. So I like the variety. That's one of the things I think Fallout 76 did really well, was just having a nice varied arsenal. But talking about the skills mainly, I really like the way that the old games did skills, especially with the skill points rather than the perks. I don't like as I mentioned in part 1, I'm not a huge fan of the perk system where it's, like you put one perk into rifleman instead of putting a few points into your small gun skill. I think I much preferred the point system rather than the perk system. Just because it kind of made progression feel better, because you could do a few things at once, not just like once at a time. Like if you really wanted to, you could go all in on making your gun skill better, or you could go like a little bit of guns, a little bit of speech, a little bit of lockpick, and then you'd pick a perk, and that perk could raise your explosives and small guns a little bit. And I just like that because it felt more gradual and less like big chunk kind of upgrades. Oops, knocked over my camera just a little. I like that more. It just felt better, I think, to go that way. If you couldn't tell, I'm lost now. But yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to mention, was the perks. Now, one thing that the perks I think did do pretty good in Fallout 4 was just I like the variety of perks you have to choose from. How the perks can feel a lot more varied, and that how each perk isn't just a stat boost. Where that's something I didn't like about the old Fallout games, was that some of the perks were literally just stat boosts, and that wasn't super fun, you know. Because once you get to a higher level, then a stat boost perk is kind of useless. But anyway, that's kind of off the point. Guns. I do like the crafting system in this game. Contrary to what a lot of people, settlement system they didn't like, I do like the crafting, the way that they did that, and have made the crafting system so you can change the way guns are and how they feel. I just don't like how that you can change like a laser rifle and make it automatic, and that completely changes which perk it now scales with. As much as it makes sense, kind of, it also doesn't. One very small detail that most people might not notice from the old Fallout games was your gun skill actually affected how you would handle with guns, kind of like it does in like a super primitive version of the way it does in Cyberpunk. So that like as your gun skill increases, your handling gets a little better, your reload gets a little better. There's a video you can watch on it on YouTube I found one time a long time ago. There's this guy that like sets his gun skill to like 1 or 5 or something super low, and when he shoots a gun, like it kicks real bad, and its reload looks a little slower, and then he sets his skill to 100, and the gun like barely kicks at all. I think that's a really nice detail, and that could be emphasized a little harder, kind of more similar to Cyberpunk. Quests are handled okay in this game. You know, you've got some good ones, some bad ones, and that's kind of to be expected. I don't dislike how they did quests at all, and I don't really think... Sorry, water break. I don't really think that needs to be changed very greatly. That's one thing that I think was handled well, is the way quests are handled. Voice protagonist. Let's go a little more into detail about voice protagonist. I like having a voice protagonist because it gives the character more character, which is both a good thing and a bad thing. If you play a game like Fallout just for the gameplay, then I think a voiced character is probably better. But the problem is, Fallout isn't a game you play for, you know, the gunplay. You know, you can go play Call of Duty because, let's be honest with each other, it's a much better gun game. Call of Duty is a far more superior gun game than Fallout 4 ever will be. But Fallout 4 is a role-playing game, first and foremost. So, if you can play a Fallout game and feel like your role-playing isn't really affecting the world, is it really a role-playing game? It's kind of like Fallout 4 upgraded the gunplay too much and downgraded the roleplay so much that it kind of... they interacted with each other in a bad way and killed both of them. They kind of killed... one killed the other. And I don't think that's necessary. I feel like you can definitely have a good roleplay game with good gunplay and have them both succeed. But on to the character. You know, talking about the characters, as I was going to say. Ooh. Something's going on here. What's going on? You guys okay? Gotta love the random events. This is something I've always loved from Fallout, is the random encounters. I feel like random encounters would be nice to have, you know, more often. I don't really know what these guys are saying because I have my volume so down that you guys don't hear it blasting over me. But I'm assuming I'm going to have to shoot this guy. Seeing the scars on his face brings me to another point. I kind of wish that like Fallout had more characters that were pretty obviously disabled in some way. You know, like you would find like a character who was like, oh, I got my arm blown off. Because thinking about it, the only character that I can even think of is Proctor Ingram, obviously who had her legs cut off by a steel beam when she was in power armor. Which obviously, you know, that's cool. I like that. But whew. Oh, and he was a synth. R.I.P. Whoa, did I just not save there? Oopsies. Anyway. What was I going back to? Yes. Talking about builds. Was it?